He's running.
He's running? Which way is he running?
Down towards the other entrance of the neighborhood.
Okay. Which entrance is that he's heading towards?
The back entrance.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
That's a 911 call from the night of the shooting at Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman's brother, Robert, is back with me now exclusively. So, Robert, I'll be straight with you here. The reaction on Twitter already is blowing up tonight to this interview, and they're saying pretty much the same thing. You know, yeah, they're glad for you and your family that, you know, George is safe. What about Trayvon Martin? He's dead. You know, why did your brother take out a gun and shoot an unarmed teenager?
Right. I understand that reaction, and sadly and unfortunately, Trayvon Martin is dead. He died, and that has been from the moment that happened, that incident that night, has been weighing on my brother in a way I couldn't possibly describe or put into words, you know, accurately here on this interview. It would have to be his words one day that would, you know, shed light on exactly how he felt when that happened. Trayvon died. What I would say to those people is to respect the system. There is a system. It appears my brother has competent legal representation, and there is only one truth. The system does not manufacture truth. It discovers the truth. That's the objective of it.
Well, Robert, I mean, isn't the situation very different now to the last time we spoke? Last time we spoke, your brother had been investigated on the night, and the police were satisfied he had acted in self-defense under the stand your ground rule in Florida, and they allowed him to go home. Now he's facing a second-degree murder charge. That means the state attorney in Florida believes that he murdered Trayvon Martin. This wasn't self-defense, it was murder. Now, that changes things very dramatically, doesn't it? And that is why there is so much anger out there towards your brother. Do you understand that?
I do understand that. And like I said, we're very disappointed in those charges, and everyone in the system has different tactics that they are availed to, that are at their disposal. For different reasons, they do things and charge things different ways. And I can't get into Miss Corey's mind and explain why she did what she did. I know that there is one truth. I know that my brother, just like me, we speak only the truth. He told his family only the truth. That truth will come to light. There is obviously some need in our society, or we have allowed ourselves to become so bloodthirsty that we need to we need to have our blood.
Yeah, but Robert, here's the problem. The blood that has been shown here so far is the blood of Trayvon Martin.
Right.
This is the reason that people feel so angry. The reason they felt angry, and I have shared their anger on this show very openly about the fact that your brother wasn't even arrested on the night. It just seems such a crazy anomaly to any law in modern America that a young black teenager walking from a store back to his father's girlfriend's house isn't able to get back because your brother intervenes, defies a 911 operator's instructions not to follow, continues anyway. An altercation, we don't know the exact circumstances of how this began, commences, and as a result, Trayvon Martin's dead. It's his blood that's lying there, isn't it?
I do take exception with, you know, follows. That is, again, without commenting on specifics about the case, because it's inappropriate to do so. It's inappropriate for anybody, including myself, who wasn't there, to say, this is exactly what happened, George followed or did not follow. What I'm saying as his brother is, George speaks the truth to his family. George has told his family the truth. George has told every one of his lawyers that have taken him on the truth. George has told everyone the truth that he could speak to at the time. There was a time before all of, you know, Twitter followers or people marching. This was just something that had happened to two families, to the Martin family and to the Zimmerman family.
Let me ask you, Robert, why was George carrying a gun to target?
Thousands of Floridians have enacted laws to make sure that they are able to carry guns. In fact, I believe in Florida they are only able to carry guns if they are concealed, where in other states you are only able to carry guns without a permit.
So he's carrying a gun, but of course at some stage of what happens,
right,
when he is told, when he calls the 911, he is a neighborhood watch captain. At that moment, he goes into neighborhood watch mode. Now he knows
that's not the truth. At that moment, Robert, he goes into neighborhood watch mode.
That is the truth, because
no, that's not, because if you go home and see something suspicious and call, you're a citizen. And
yeah, but I'm not a neighborhood watch captain.
Right, and he was not on any neighborhood watch patrol or acting in any capacity.
No, but I would argue, and many would argue, the moment he made that call, as he had done repeatedly in previous years, acting as a neighborhood watch captain, when he made that call, he was specifically told, you don't have to do that, sir. And he said, okay. Now, you say he wasn't following Trayvon Martin. What was he doing?
Well,
what was he doing after that?
Okay, again, that's an element of the case that will come out in.
But what did he tell you? You said that he told you the truth. What did he tell you that explains why he continued walking towards Trayvon Martin?
Well, he didn't continue to walk towards Trayvon Martin. I said on my first interview, and the truth is the truth. There only is one truth. He lost sight of Mr. Martin. He lost sight of him. So he did not ever follow, confront, or catch up to Trayvon, ever. It never happened that way. He lost sight of him. He looked around. He went to the last address that he saw for Mr. Martin, where Mr. Martin could have turned down the street and, for example, gone in his home. Or he could have turned down the street and said, hey, Dad, there's this guy, I think he's following me, if that's the case, if that's what was in his mind. Mr. Martin chose to do none of those things. And my previous interview stands for my account and my family's account of what we believe exactly happened. And
I mean, in that previous interview, Robert, just to remind you, when it got to the altercation, and I accept there are missing minutes here and we don't know the full truth, but there are two aspects to the interview we conducted before I wanted to run past you again.
Okay.
One is the description that you gave of the beating that you say George was receiving from Trayvon. You said he was out of breath, he was barely conscious. The last thing he remembers doing was moving his head from the concrete to the grass. If he was banged one more time, he wouldn't be, wearing diapers for the rest of his life and being spoon-fed by his brother. There would have been George dead had he not acted decisively. Now, clearly, if that is true, then that would, and he had done nothing to provoke this, then that would be a legitimate defense, understand your ground. But how do you explain that your brother is one bang away during this terrible beating from wearing diapers and being fed by you for the rest of his life, and the fact that within a matter of just a couple of hours, we see him walking around at the police station perfectly okay?
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, Pierce. First of all, like I said in our first interview, neither one of us are doctors to make that presumption, say X, Y, Z is perfectly okay. Second of all, my brother has, as anyone who is familiar with carrying concealed weapons, when you carry a concealed weapon, there is a different burden that you have, because you have a weapon that can not just kill you but can kill other people. For example, if someone takes your gun in a shopping mall and just starts shooting people, now your weapon, you've lost control of your weapon and it is being used to kill people or hurt people. There's a different burden when you get into an altercation with someone.
But again, Robert, I come back to the fact that when we see these images, I'm watching them now, this is your brother within 90 minutes or 2 hours of this terrible beating where he's one blow away from death. And he's showing absolutely...
Pierce,
the problem is what you're saying and what the construct of the story that's being put forward is, there's very little relation to what we've seen on the video of your brother within 2 hours.
I'm happy actually to explain that. There is a disconnect because people, like I said, they want to see blood and they wanted to see blood. The reality is George nor any other neighborhood watch person goes out and becomes a neighborhood watch person because they are going to be in the following order: surprise attacked, punched so hard in the nose that their nose is broken, sat on their chest, using their last available breaths to call and scream for help. This is a series of not just physical but psychological injuries that are happening to someone, with a person who's 6'3" sitting on their chest, using his entire body weight to cover the mouth and nose, the broken nose, of the person who's screaming out for their life. Now what you have is a situation where you're out of breath and you're losing consciousness. Now if you're, what puts you in fear of your life is when you carry a gun and someone threatens to disarm you as you're becoming unconscious, you don't know if that person is really going to kill you or not. But if you're wrong about it, you are dead. And you don't have a second chance to second guess that decision when you're losing consciousness because someone is crushing your nose into your skull that's broken.
Let's take another break. We'll come back and debate this further. Obviously, I repeat, the only person who is dead is Trayvon Martin. I want to come back and analyse the 911 calls because the cries for help, many experts now, independent experts say, did not come from your brother. I want to discuss it with you after the break.